Hey guys, Mike here from Lunch Money Comics. Today I'm outside the Hall of Comics in Westboro, Massachusetts because they're having a huge dollar book sale. This is a great store, so I'm pretty excited to check this one out. Let's go inside and see what we can find. So this is a fantastic looking comic shop. It's not super big, but it has a lot packed within. Really cool props hanging on the walls, great wall books, statues, and it's super clean and spacious. But on this special sale day, they put out a ton of long boxes full of comic books and trade paperbacks. And this was the deal of the day. Basically, all the comic books were $1 each, but starting at 1 o'clock, you could fill a short box for $50 or a long box for $80. Now, when I first arrived, I did not plan on taking advantage of this amazing deal by getting a box, but as you're going to see, as the morning went on, I ended up finding so much great stuff, I realized it was a deal too good to pass up. All right, let's start down here. Oh, wow. Multiple copies of Spider-Gwen number 2. Cool. I found a good box here. One more thing I want to add as you see me dig into these boxes, I was at this store for over 2 hours, and as you can imagine, I looked at a lot of comic books, way too many to fit in a standard length video, so I ended up cutting, no joke, over 90% of the footage that I took. Hopefully you understand why I did that. But I also hope that, the footage I put in here at least gives you a good idea of the types of comic books that I was looking at over the 2+ hours that I was at this sale. Oh, I see that one. Sweet. Anyone need any X-Men 2099 number ones? Everyone already has 20 of them. Good stuff. Yeah, it's all good stuff. Okay.
How are you? We're going to do a long box. They had your attention number 2, I'm just curious.
Are you coming this way? I'll get out of your way. Okay.
Hey, how are you?
These are cool. It was an impressionable time in my life.
Back when I thought I was gonna hit it big.
Everyone
I was
did.
like 12.
That was it, man. That was it. You kept them sealed in the poly bag with the cards because you know you want to be.
I've still got some A's that I'm just
Oh yeah.
like, should I bother to take these out?
That's fun. These are great. Oh man, some of these quasars too. Oh, that's a cool one. That's the it's got the border too.
I haven't actually seen people with that one.
No, people. I don't know if they skipped this one.
It's like the Care Bears or whatever. Like nobody picked it up.
Ewoks,
Everybody
Care Bears
looked
are
for it.
so hard to find. There's another one. They find Jean Grey in the end.
So when I was a kid, we go on. This is about the time that I started collecting. Was that book?
Yep.
It's the only one I have that's water damaged.
Oh yeah.
Because I dropped a.
Do you need a replacement?
No.
Nice. No way.
Well, thank you.
It's a no-brainer. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
You can take a minute.
There's two runs of it.
Yeah, I bring it in gradually. It's like it always happens.
I don't want to distract anybody from their shopping, but I thought it'd be a good idea first, thanks to everybody for coming out today on your Saturday. And real quick clarification on the fill-a-box offer. That's going to start at 1 o'clock. So until 1 o'clock, all the books are $1. We'll ask everybody to bring their books up and cash out right before 1 o'clock. And at 1 o'clock, short boxes, fill-a-box will be $50, and a long box fill-a-box will be $80. So if you have any questions about that, let one of those guys know.
So you just heard the voice of one of the owners, Jake, reminding everyone about the fill-a-box deal. Starting at 1 o'clock, you could fill a short box or a long box for a fixed amount. Well, at this point, it was almost noon, and I figured I would just go out, grab a bite to eat, and come back at 1 and fill an entire box, and that's exactly what I did. So there you go, guys. 2 short boxes full of comics and graphic novels that I got for a fantastic price. So let's go back to the house. I'll show you guys everything I got at this awesome comic sale. So there you go, guys. That was the Hall of Comics. I feel like I should say that more epic. The Hall of Comics in Westboro, Massachusetts. A relatively new store. It's been there for about 5 years or so. It moved from another location. And it's located west of Boston. And despite the fact I'm in the area often, I've only ever been there one other time, almost exactly a year ago. And when I went that time, I got to talk with one of the owners, John. Super nice guy. We talked about the shop, we talked about the channel, our interests. I had a fantastic conversation with John, and I was kind of in a rush to get home. I only ended up getting 1 comic book and 1 trade paperback, I remember. But I told John I'd have to come back and film a full-length video on this awesome store. He said that would be great. Unfortunately, and very sadly, not too long after my visit, I found out that John suddenly passed away. Incredibly sad, and ever since I heard that, I knew I had to get back to the store and film this great shop, you know, and every time, unfortunately, they've had a big sale like this. They had one around Christmas. I was busy. I couldn't make it out there. So now was the time, come hell or high water, I was going to make it to the sale. And actually, the weather was horrible. It was pouring rain. But I finally made it out there for this great sale and could film a video and make good on that promise I made to John a year ago. Before we talk about the comic books, a huge tip of the cap to everyone at the Hall of Comics, the other owners. Huge shout out to Jake, great guy. Had some awesome conversations with him. And all the other people that work there for keeping this shop alive after, you know, a tragedy like that. And it's a great shop, guys. It's a smaller place, but it's beautiful. Aesthetics are fantastic, awesome comic books, and despite the fact it's a smaller shop, it's very accessible, very open, not claustrophobic. It really is a fantastic shop, and just again, props to everyone who works there for just keeping the shop alive and keeping it such a great place, and it's going to be that way, it sounds like, for years into the future. So, I'm happy I could finally make a video on it, but I also ended up with 2 short boxes, I'm not going to pick them up right now, full of comic books, and as you guys can imagine, I have a lot here. I have over 200 comic books. I'm not going to go through all of them one by one. I'm going to show you sort of the greatest hits of the books I picked out before the bulk deal. We'll go through the bulk box to give you guys an idea roughly of what I got, and then especially through the trade paperbacks, probably my favorite thing that I picked up. Before we go through the comic books though, guys, head on down, hit that like button. I really, really appreciate it. Follow me on Instagram at lunchcomedycomics@g. And if you find yourself west of Boston and want to check out an awesome shop, stop by the Hall of Comics in Westboro. I'll make sure to put a link down in my description to their website. If you do stop by, guys, I do not think you will be disappointed. So first, I actually want to talk about the graphic novels and trade paperbacks that I picked up. As you saw in the footage, all the comics they put out were $1 a piece, but they also had boxes of trades that were $5 each. Most of these brand new, some still in the plastic. And guys, I always talk about the fact I have a huge stack of reading material I can never quite get to. Well, this is the summer. I'm going to put a dent in that pile. A lot of recommendations from, you know, viewers of the channel, a lot of stuff that I've just wanted to read. And it's never too late to add more stuff to my summer reading list. My kids have a summer reading list. Well, I do too. So I'm excited to talk about all these. The first couple, though, I actually absolutely have read, and you'll see why. Here's the first one, right? So, of course, this is X-Men by Jim Lee, early issues by Chris Claremont. Listen, guys, X-Men #1 was the most printed comic book of all time. Everyone who collected in the 90s knew what it was. You know, it inspired the animated series, iconic change for the X-Men title. And of course, I've read all of these 1,000 times when I was a kid as a big X-Men fan. And yeah, the reason I got this, guys, trade paperbacks are easier to read. You know, I can sit in my favorite chair and relive my childhood by going through these. But also my son can read this, right? My son can, you know, when he's laying in bed, can read this, not worry about damaging the comic book. So happy to add this to my reading material collection, even though I've read it 1,000 times. It's fun for the trip down memory lane. Same with this one, guys. One of my favorite stories ever written. Jim Starlin's iconic magnum opus, in my opinion, The Infinity Gauntlet. This made a huge impact on me when I was a kid and first got into comic books in the 90s, guys. It was the space setting, the fact that all the Marvel heroes were in there. It's so epic. Yeah, guys, I love this story. I've read it 1,000 times as well. Very happy to have a trade paperback of this one, especially for $5. I've not read this next one. However, a lot of people have recommended it to me, and I have one friend who swears by it and loves it, and another friend who absolutely hated it. It's this. This is Fables. This is a storyline by Bill Willingham, lots of different artists on it, published by DC's Vertigo imprint, and basically this is a murder mystery in fairy tale land, right? You have fairy tale characters, there's a murder they're trying to solve. Yeah, I've never actually read this, but like I said, I have one friend who loves it and recommended it to me, and another friend who said, I really hated it. I'm curious, when I read this, where I'm going to fall in that spectrum. Let me know down in the comments if you read this before. No spoilers, please. But let me know what your opinion is on it. I'd love to hear it. This one I have not read, but you can give me spoilers because I kind of know what happens in it already. Yeah, this is Batman, A Death in the Family. Guys, I am a Marvel reader primarily. I don't read enough DC. I do have a lot of Superman and Batman in my pile to read. But yeah, this one here is, I'm going to read it right in front, the controversial bestseller by Jim Starlin, Jim Aparo, and Mike DiCarlo. And I don't think there's any spoilers here. It's a 4-issue series, which is most notable for the death of the Jason Todd Robin at the hands of the Joker. Again, you know, this is a pretty iconic storyline, but again, because it was so controversial at the time. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this, especially if you read it off the shelf back in the day. I'd love to hear your opinion. I feel like I need to read that, right? Same thing with this one. You know, I collect these books, but I can't say I've read a lot of them. This is George Perez's Wonder Woman Volume 1. When I think of Wonder Woman, I think of the late 80s George Perez. I love these covers, guys. I love George Perez's art. Lots of, you know, iconic storylines. Hey, good cheetah right there on the back. And yeah, these are great, but I can't say I've ever read a lot of them. So, hey, look at this. There's a ton of issues in here, 1 through 14, in a who's who of the Wonder Woman world. Yeah, guys, I'm going to pick this up all day, every day. This next book I am super excited about, not just because of the storyline, but also because of the beautiful copy. It's this. This is a hardcover copy of the Eisner Award-winning The Vision by Tom King and Gabriel Hernandez Walta. Yeah, so this is a storyline that takes the character of Vision, you know, the android superhero on the Avengers, and puts him in a very unusual setting, an idyllic suburban neighborhood with his android family and dog. And everything seems fine until they start not being fine, and you realize there's a lot more going on here than meets the eye. And if that setting sounds familiar to you, that's because this was the inspiration for the series WandaVision. Those of you that watched that TV show on Disney Plus, this is what it was inspired by. So that's cool in its own right. The art is fantastic, but also it really digs into what makes Vision tick. No pun intended. He's a robot. It talks about his very complicated origin. You know, you got his whole new family right here. You have, you know, his marriage to Wanda and their two kids, Speed and Wiccan. You have, you know, the brain patterns he shares with Wonder Man and his brother, Grim Reaper, created by Ultron, in turn created by Hank Pym. It's very complicated. All these characters are in there. So I'm very excited to read about this. And probably my favorite part is the second half of this book is a making of. I love when they do this, right? They have scripts in here. They have concept art. They have interviews with the creators. I love stuff like this, guys. So, very excited to get this. And again, beautiful copy. Retails for $40. $5, guys. Could not say no. Let me know down in the comments if you read this one. And this last one, real quick. Quite simply, it's Game of Thrones, the graphic novel, Volume 2. I've said in the past, guys, I'm a huge fan of George R.R. Martin, and it's a graphic novel. Great. But the reason I picked this up is at a book sale not too long ago, I found Volume 1, right? So this only adapts, like, you know, the first third or so of the first book, A Game of Thrones, and then, you know, hey, now we have Volume 2 for $5. So I ended up with seven graphic novels, guys. $35 for all of these. Absolutely, I think that's a fantastic deal considering they're pretty much brand new. And although I've read a couple of these, everything else is going in my reading pile for the summer. Let me know again down in the comments, no spoilers, what you think of these if you've read them. I think $35 for all of these guys is an absolute steal. Fantastic deal. Probably the thing I'm most excited about that I picked up at this sale. So now let's talk about the comic books that I picked up. After several hours of hunting through these boxes, finding fantastic deals for $1 a piece, talking with all the other collectors, I was having such a fun time. Time flew before I knew it. Hey, it was almost lunchtime. I decided to take advantage of the deal. I went out, grabbed some lunch, and came back and filled the short box. I'm certainly not going to go through all of these books one by one. I got over 200 of them. But what I am going to do is sort of go through the greatest hits. I'm going to go through a lot of the comic books that I pulled out before 1 o'clock, right? I had to kind of keep those books separate. That's what I did. I'll show you the ones that I pulled out individually. I thought was a great deal for $1 a piece, and then we'll go down to the short box and give you guys a rough idea of what I picked up. So let's start with these. I'm very excited about these because I'm a huge Daredevil fan. Here we have all 5 issues of 1993's Daredevil, The Man Without Fear, 5-part story by Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. I think most people would agree that Frank Miller really defined Daredevil to what we know him as today. And this is a 5-part series, sort of a retelling of Daredevil's origin story. You know, you got a bit about his youth, how he got his powers, what went on with his dad. You have stories in here regarding Elektra. Of course, we have the Kingpin, and basically it's him becoming the superhero Daredevil. Most of the series, he is in the black suit, black cowl. Those of you that watch the Netflix series know exactly what I'm talking about, and eventually culminates in him donning the red suit that we all know. I love Daredevil, but I don't have all 5 issues of this series, so I saw them all in there for $1 a piece. I basically thought of them as one of those trade paperbacks, right? $5 for the whole thing. Haven't picked this up. Let me know down in the comments, you Daredevil fans, what you think of that series. Listen, guys, I'm a huge X-Men fan. I got a lot of X-Men books. I'm not going to show you a ton of them, just a couple. Starting with this. This is classic X-Men #1, iconic Arthur Adams cover. I absolutely love this, guys. If I find this book cheap and it's in nice shape, you know, it's very white cover, I pick it up. Also great back cover as well. This is another one, guys. This is classic X-Men #44. This is a reprinting of Uncanny X-Men #138. And this book right here was my favorite comic book of all time because the first half of it, at least, in that, you know, reprinting of that story is a recap of the entire X-Men history. I couldn't afford the actual older X-Men books. This is what I read instead, and my original childhood copy is in tatters, guys. I read it so much. Here we have a much nicer copy, so I had to pick it up and talk about it. Next up, we have 2 issues of Excalibur, spelt with an R-E at the end. And yeah, this was a 3-part story that featured the Age of Apocalypse Nightcrawler, Kurt Darkholm. Yeah, this is not Kurt Wagner. This is a Nightcrawler that was raised by his mother, Mystique, Raven Darkholm, and he's definitely not nearly as nice. Not the happy-go-lucky, plucky Nightcrawler we all know and love, but he does some really, really cool things and uses his powers to quite devastating effect. I love all versions of Nightcrawler, guys. These are upgrade copies to the series I already have, which I read to death when I was a kid, so I'm happy to grab these. Next up, we have X-Men number 184. Awesome cover featuring Sunfire as one of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse. I've also talked about this book in the past because Apocalypse turns mutants into his Horsemen of the Apocalypse, including Gambit as the Horseman of Death. Right there, that's the first cameo of Gambit as Death. Very cool issue. I also got a lot of Spider-Man in these boxes down here. But let's talk about this one right here. This is the Spectacular Spider-Man 200, giant size 200th issue, covered by Sal Buscema. Look at this foil cover, guys. This was catnip to us collectors in the 90s. And we always loved the chrome in the foil. We thought it was going to make us rich. It didn't. They made tons of this stuff. But this one actually does have some key significance, in that this is the death of the second Green Goblin, Harry Osborn, right there. So despite the fact I have a pretty good run of Spectacular Spider-Man, I don't own this book, or at least I didn't before. Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but happy to finally get this in my collection. And yeah, that triggers something in, 12-year-old me's brain. Next up, Web of Spider-Man. This is issue number 24. This is a fun one to talk about because to some people, this is considered the second cameo appearance of Venom. Yeah, I'm serious. So, I've talked about this in the past. In issue number 18, Web of Spider-Man 18, Peter Parker is standing near some railroad tracks and some arms push him onto the railroad track. And he's fine. He gets out of the way in time, but it doesn't trigger his Spidey sense. He's like, that was really strange. Well, the original writers intended this to be, I think, a woman or a character whose loved one was killed in a fight that Spider-Man was having with a bad guy. It wasn't directly his fault, but this person, for whatever reason, wanted to get revenge on Spider-Man. It blamed him, and they had the power to, bypass his, Spidey sense or something. Like he felt guilt. It doesn't really matter. The point is this. Later on, when they came up with the character of Venom, and the idea was that he didn't trigger Spider-Man's Spidey sense, they went back and retconned and said, oh, that was actually Eddie Brock with the suit. So in this issue here, similar to that first one, Peter Parker is standing on the side of a building, and a little hand reaches out and pushes him off. He once again saves himself, but he sort of thinks to himself, hey, that was weird. How come that didn't trigger my Spidey sense? It's supposed to be the same character that was later retconned to be Venom. So, fun little story there, guys. Second kind of appearance of Venom. It's a stretch. All right, next up we have, I didn't know what this was at all, guys. This is the Autumnlands Tooth and Claw number 2, published by Image. The reason I picked it up is because, look, it's signed. And who signed it? Well, I did a little bit of research and figured out this was signed by the writer Kurt Busiek and the artist Benjamin Dewey. Signed it right there. I know nothing about the storyline, guys, but when you see a nice minty comic book signed, you pick it up for $1. At least I do. So, yeah, I don't know anything about this. Let me know if you do. Next up, this is a funny book. This is Ambush Bug number 1. So, Ambush Bug is a character that was first created in the early 80s as a villain, and basically the creator wanted a villain if he was like Bugs Bunny, a cartoony, goofy, annoying character. That's certainly what he was, but he ended up proving very popular, ended up becoming sort of a good guy and headlining a couple of his own series. Here's the first issue. Mostly he was around to annoy Superman, and yeah, he's an homage to Superman number 1, right? So I just thought it was funny. He's a goofy character. Happy to pick it up. I also got a whole bunch of ROM. So yeah, I'm not a huge collector of ROM, but some of these really spoke to me. And they were really cool. So we have ROM number 26 of him going up against Galactus, which I just wanted to read it, in his part 2. So yeah, I just want to read it, guys. Same thing here. We have ROM with Doctor Strange in the Living Tribunal. Looks awesome. I don't know. And this one, just great. It's in good shape. This is ROM annual number 4, him going up against Gladiator. I don't know why I grabbed them, guys. They just struck my fancy. I want to read them. That's probably the best reason to buy a book for $1, right? These next two here I got for a friend. We have this. This is Samurai Nocturne by Aircell Publishing, 1986. Yeah, I've never seen this before. I flipped through. Really cool, evocative, neat art, black and white. It reminds me a lot of Sandman, to be honest. And I got this to have a buddy who, this is right up his alley. So, yeah, I grabbed it for a friend. Same thing with this. That same friend is a huge fan of manga. And I grabbed this. This is Mai, the Psychic Girl, number 14. I know my buddy has lots of Mai. And yeah, great art in it. I grabbed this for a friend. Some other books I got for a friend. Oh, man. So when I was a kid, guys, I was huge into the 2099 Marvel series, right? Characters basically 100 years in the future. Spider-Man 2099, Hulk, you had Ghost Rider, Doom, Punisher, X-Men. I loved them all. But one of those characters was unique. And it was this one. This is Ravage 2099, a character at least partially created by Stan Lee. Now, this is my least favorite character of that whole run. Again, the foil cover is catnip to me. The reason why I got this was because I'm not the only one that liked these as a kid. My buddy Martin, the Aussie comic collector down in Australia, stockpiles these. He loves these comic books, and he asked me if I ever find them really cheap to basically kind of start making a pile, and he'll pay for them. I'll ship them down. Well, I found 5 minty copies from Martin. So when I get a big enough pile, Martin, when they're worth sending down, I'm going to. So there you go, guys. 5 copies of Ravage, $20.99, number 1, for a friend. Speaking of $20.99, this is a more modern series. This is Secret Wars, $20.99. Hey, Hulk, $20.99 right there. Yeah, I've never read this before. This is issue number 2. Great cover. Wanted to grab it. This one's great. This is Marvel Superhero Contest of Champions number 1. So this is from 1982, and this is a 3-part storyline that featured all of Marvel's characters. And believe it or not, this was the first major crossover that Marvel or any comic publisher actually did. Not only that, it was their first limited series. A lot of people think it's Secret Wars. It's not. This beat it by 2 years, and this in turn was originally supposed to be for the Olympics in Moscow, but that fell through when the United States boycotted the Moscow Olympics, so they just basically waited a few years, redid the whole story, and that's what you have here. Tons of Marvel characters, all of the Marvel characters, including some brand new ones that were created just for this, and in this, it's basically a contest between the Grandmaster and Death. And yeah, they put some superhero teams together, and yeah, it's great. I think it's a very underrated series. Look at that, right? Very underrated series, guys, and I love talking about it. It's a cool book. This one, this is crazy. Okay, so this right here is Marvel Age number 44, right? And these Marvel Ages, guys, for those of you that don't know, it's basically the Marvel News magazine. Lots of articles and stuff in here, art, interviews, right? Letters to the editor, all sorts of stuff like that. But why I grabbed this one is because of the border. So this is the Marvel 25th anniversary border. People collect these, right? They all have this cool border showing all the Marvel characters, and it could be, you know, mainstream comic characters like Spider-Man had these, or things like the Care Bears and Transformers and G.I. Joe. People collect these, and some of them are hard to find. I've never seen the Marvel Age version of the border. I've never seen it. You know, in this one here, they're talking about the new universe that came out, and you can see the back of his head. It's just weird. I picked it up. I'm not sure. I do have a lot of these covers with the border. I've never even seen this one before. I had to grab it. So, they weren't all 80s, 90s, and modern comic books there. There were some boxes of much, much older stuff. And I grabbed a couple here that just spoke to me. And in retrospect, I should have grabbed more. Other people found them and took them out. But I grabbed a couple good ones. This is Secrets of Young Brides. This is a 10-cent Charlton comic from the early 60s. It's in pretty good shape. I just like the cover. It reminded me of that dolphin cover, that showcase DC cover where she's underwater. I just really liked it. Thought it was interesting looking, and wanted to pick it up. And also in pretty decent shape. A whole bunch of these. This is Gorgo. Gorgo is a big monster. There were lots of these. I just picked the one that I liked the best. We have a Forbidden Worlds. Great cover right there. A 12-cent comic. Yeah, just liked it. And then the last one. Awesome. Tales of the Unexpected, published by DC. 12-cent comic there. Fantastic. Colorful cover. $1 a piece, guys. I can't say no, but again, my only regret is I didn't grab more of these. Tons of romance, young romance comics in there. I wish I grabbed in retrospect. But there were some people there that were really into them and scoffing them up. And there were people that were pretty excited to find them. So I'm happy someone who was going to appreciate them got them. So yeah. So again, all those were $1 a piece, guys. But I'm going to go into the box now and show you very quickly what I got in bulk. Okay, so here's what I decided to do. I split it into 2 short boxes because obviously they were so jammed into one, I couldn't really show them off. Let's start with this box right here. I'm going to try to do this one-handed. So yeah, this is mostly X-Men stuff in the beginning. There wasn't a ton of Uncanny, and most of the ones I did find were in bad shape, but that's okay because I basically own all of Uncanny. But what I'm most excited about is the adjectiveless X-Men because it's still around I'm trying to finish, and although I have all these earlier issues, I do not have these later ones from the mid to late 90s. Yeah, I wasn't really collecting X-Men books then. So all of these guys are run fillers. I need all of these for my collection. I do have a couple of duplicates. I just grabbed a stack, but that's only a very few cases. I'm really excited to add these to my run. So yeah, put a pretty good dent in that. A few other random books like X Factor. Oh, where is it? Yeah, we have an X-Men 2099 number 1. I mentioned I love those 2099 series. This is the first series that I collected the entire run and read the whole thing. Still have them in my, childhood long box. Look at that. Catnip, that shiny blue cover. It's awesome. Then we have a ton of Avengers. So I grabbed all these because I have a buddy who's finishing the Avengers run, and I couldn't find his list of books that he needed. So I grabbed them all. He can go through them and pick out what he needs, and I'll keep the rest because I have a pretty good run myself. There's some great books in here, right, guys? We have, Avengers versus Ghost Rider. We have a couple earlier issues here under the 200s. But yeah, most of this stuff is from like 250 on. And there's some great issues in here, guys. Great covers, great storylines. So really excited to get all of these. And then we have a bunch of Iron Man. So yeah, these are really cool too. I had a lot of these as a kid, not these earlier issues. These are all from like 1980 and onward. A lot of these are like, from 150 on. But when we get up to about 200, yeah, in this area here, I had a lot of these issues as a kid. Like I remember reading this one. I probably still have it somewhere. Maybe not. A lot of this stuff got traded or ended up in bulk. But I loved these. And again, the nostalgia factor alone. I had this one. Yeah. So these are great, guys. Happy to have a whole bunch of Iron Man. That's what this is great about, right? You basically, you fill a short box and you can put a big dent in those runs. But this is the box I'm excited about because this whole box is Spider-Man. So I never really part with my Spider-Man comic books, guys. I have tons of boxes of Spider-Man from my childhood, and I can't say I'm like trying to finish the runs, but I'm always happy to get some more. So we have some spectacular Spider-Man here, a ton of them. Yeah, there's a whole bunch here, spectacular, and you can tell from the tops of these books, the spectacular run I have isn't that nice. You can tell by the color of the pages, they're a little beat up. That's okay. I wouldn't call them reader copies. They're definitely better than that. But still, they're really cool to pick up, and they put a pretty good dent in that run. Yeah, some great covers. But you'll see there's a change, and that change is when it goes to web, because these webs are actually in really good shape. So I love Web of Spider-Man. There's some great covers, some great artists worked on this series. And yeah, guys, there are key issues sprinkled in here. Yeah, there's another duplicate. There are some key issues sprinkled in here. They're few and far apart. That's totally fine, guys. You don't get it for that. You get it because they're awesome covers, awesome reading material, and to finish that run. So yeah, I'm pretty happy and excited about all the stuff here. Oh, there's a key. I believe this is first Demo Goblin, basically Hobgoblin possessed by a demon because, comics. So everything you see here, guys, I got for $50. I think that is a fantastic deal. When you're getting these fill-a-box bargains, you're not doing it to find like big key issues. That's not the value. The value is in getting the reading material and filling in those comic runs. And to that end, I think I did really well. I got a ton of stuff I need for my runs. And guys, in terms of reading material, if you could capture my childhood in 2 short boxes, it would look a lot like this. I am delighted to pick up all of these comic books, and I think it's a fantastic deal. Let me know down in the comments if you like my selection, if you think that's a good selection for $50. And yes, I am very hyper aware that you DC collectors are probably going to hate this. It's all Marvel, but like I said, guys, this is my childhood in 2 boxes, and I couldn't be happier. So from this comic book sale, I basically filled 2 short boxes. I ended up with exactly 225 comic books and 7 trade paperbacks, and it cost me only $125. Now that's a Lunch Money Comics purchase, guys. I'm happy with everything I got. Head on down in the comments, let me know of all the things I picked up, what you like the most, anything that I skipped that you would have picked up, anything I shouldn't have picked up, things you wouldn't have got for $1. I'd love to hear your opinion. Everyone's got one, and I'm going to read them all. Let me know, guys, what you think of all that stuff. And once again, if you find yourself west of Boston and you want to check out a great store, Hall of Comics, guys. It's a great place. Again, I'll put a link down in my description. And that's it. In the meantime, keep hunting for comic books in strange and unusual places. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.